Hi library friends, I'm Miss Connie from the Hopewell branch, and this is the author study program. Each week during the summer reading program, we're going to look at a different children's author. And we've already looked at Dan Yacarino, we looked at Laura Numeroff, and we've looked at Sarah Varon. If you've missed any of those programs, you can catch them on our YouTube channel by going to mcl.org and then our YouTube channel, and there's a specific playlist for the author study program, so it'll be easier to find. And I would recommend you take a look at those. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some more fun children's authors that we're going to take a look at. But today, I'm very excited to tell you that our featured author is Dan Gutman. So we're going to start by learning a little bit about his life, then we're going to look at his books, then he's going to read a little bit of one of his new books to us, which is from his Weird School series, and it's Miss Blake is a Flake. So it's really fun when the author reads a little bit of their own story. I love it. So we'll listen to that, and then at the very end, we'll take a quick look at his website and wrap up. So I'm glad you're here today, and I hope you enjoy it, and we're going to get started. So now we're going to learn a little bit about Dan Gutman's life. Dan was born in 1955 in New York City. When he was about a year old, his parents moved to Newark, New Jersey, and when he went to college, he went to Rutgers University, go Scarlet Knights, and he graduated in 1977. He majored in psychology, and then he went on to graduate school to study psychology. And when he was doing that, he decided he didn't want to do that. He wanted to be a writer. So he moved back to New York City, and he started writing magazine articles for adults. And he did that for a while, and then he started a magazine of his own about computer games. First it was video games, and then computer games. And when that ended, he decided he really did like writing, and he was going to be a writer full time. He was writing more magazine articles for adults, and then he decided he'd try to write some books about sports. So he wrote some nonfiction sports books, but still for adults. And it wasn't until his son was 2 years old that he decided that he was going to try to write for kids. So that was 15 years. It was 1992, and 15 years after he'd graduated from college before he finally started writing for kids. And of course, we're so glad he did, because he's very funny and he's very knowledgeable, and it shows in all his many, many books. And so I took these pictures off his website so you could see what he looks like. I thought it would be easier if I held them up like this. And so this is a picture of Dan when he was a kid in a baseball uniform. And then these are some more pictures from his website. We'll take a look at his website later. That's what Dan looks like. And next, we're going to talk about his many, 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 many books. So now I want to talk about Dan Gutman's many, many books. It's a little hard to be brief because there are so many books, but I'm going to try to break it down so you can get a sense for what kind of things you could look for at the library. When I put Dan Gutman's name in our library catalog at mcl.org, I got 27 pages of materials. So maybe that gives you some idea of how many books he's written. But I'm going to use the system he uses on his website to describe his books, to try to break it down a little bit so that you'll be able to see what some of his series are. He writes for kids from picture books, so little kids, all the way up to chapter books for older readers, and then an easy chapter book series in between. So he writes for pretty much all ages of kids. We're going to start with My Weird School, because I think that's probably his most well-known and beloved series. So I believe this was the first one he wrote. It's Miss Daisy is Crazy. And they're fun books, perfect for a beginner reader, not too big, not too many words on a page. That's probably one of the pages that has more words, but there are lots of pages with real cute pictures, so you can see that one. If there's a big picture, there are not as many words. And it's a great series to get started with when you're just starting into chapter books. So I'd highly recommend that. Now, within that series, there are many other series, and I'm going to tell you what they are real fast. My Weird School, My Weird School Days, My Weirder School, My Weirdest School, My Weirder-est School, My Weird School Specials. And so here's some of those. Dr. Brad Has Gone Mad. That's from Weird School Days, My Weird School Days. And then these are some of his new books. Later we're going to hear him read some of Miss Blake is a Flake. And this was brand new. I just found it on the shelf today. Mr. Marty Loves a Party. So they're super fun books. In addition to those series, he's also written My Weird Writing Tips. And so this is actually a nonfiction book. Dan Gutman helps kids master this important skill with his fun, informative writing style. So there's a writing one and there's a reading one. So I would recommend those. There's even a My Weird School game, My Weird School board game. You can find that on his website. I didn't know about that. We don't have that in the library, but it sounds like a fun thing to do. Okay, here's the next series. This is Flashback 4, okay? This one is Miss Z, a mysterious billionaire and a collector of rare photographs, is sending her 4 recruits back in time on a mission to capture, for the first time, one of the most important moments in American history, Abraham Lincoln giving his famous Gettysburg Address. So they flash back to the Gettysburg Address. And there are several of these. There's the Titanic mission, the Pompeii disaster, and the Hamiltonburg duel. And this one is the Lincoln Project, okay? That's a fun series. He really loves baseball, Dan Gutman, and so he's written quite a few baseball books. There's the Baseball Card Adventure series, and this was the first book in that series, Hannes and Nee. And in this one, on a cross-country vacation with their parents. Oh, no, I'm reading the wrong thing. Hang on. Another book, that is. This is Joey loves baseball, but it's not very good at it, and finds a valuable 1909 Hannes Wagner card and travels back in time to meet Hannes. So there are several books in this series, and each time they're a different baseball star. Okay, after that is the Genius Files. That's what I started to read. So this is the front cover of that one, Mission Unstoppable. Okay, these are the twins, Coke and Pepsi, soon to be 13, fend off strange assassins as they try to come to terms with their being part of a top secret government organization known as the Genius Files. Okay, there are many of those. This is Licensed to Thrill. Okay, so you might like that series. Now, he's written some other middle grade nonfiction. This is the cover of The Kid Who Ran for President. That's a middle grade chapter book. This is nonfiction. This is Election, A Kid's Guide to Picking Our President. So this is from 2012, but since it's an election year, this might be a very interesting book to read. Okay. I also want to tell you about his favorite books. So these are the ones that he likes the best. This is Johnny Hangtime. Okay. And Race for the Sky, which takes place in Kitty Hawk on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Okay, those are, again, their chapter books. He writes a lot about different sports. So this one is basketball, The $1 Million Shot. This has a good plot, 11-year-old Eddie gets a chance to win $1 million by sinking a foul shot at the National Basketball Association Finals. That sounds good. And this one is the $1 Million Strike. So that looks like a bowling ball. You can see the bowling pins. Okay, so that's a different one. And then I mentioned the picture book. He has the Rappy series. So this is Rappy the Raptor. That's the cover of the first book. These are rhyming books for children. This is Rappy Goes to School. And I'll show you one of those pictures inside so you can see what that looks like. Whoa, this is fun. That's teacher and the school. Okay. So those are just some of his many books. I hope that we've given you some ideas for some things to take out of the library and read at home. And next, we're going to get the chance to hear Dan read himself every day, every weekday during the summer. And I think the website says till we go back to school, he is going to read at 2 p.m. He reads a couple chapters a day of his books. And the book that he's going to be reading today is, as I mentioned before, Miss Blake is a Flake. I hope you enjoy. Hang on.
Time for me to read aloud, because if I read silently, there would be no point in doing this at all. So I'm going to read from my brand new book. It's called Miss Blake is a Flake, and it's the number 4 in the My Weirderest School series, and it just came out a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to read it to you, and here, I'll also show you the pictures, the wonderful pictures by the illustrator, Jim Palat. He's a genius. He's fantastic. And let me get to, it's also dedicated to Daniel Christie. You know why it's dedicated to Daniel Christie? Because it was Daniel Christie who gave me the idea for the title. Uh-oh, now I'm really asking for trouble because all you people are going to send me titles. Okay, so here's Jim's, Jim has a new picture of the locker in every book. Okay? All right. So chapter 1 is titled, you can read that for yourself. Cheese doesn't have ears. Are you ready? All right, here we go. I feel like Mr. Rogers. All right. My name is AJ, and I hate getting my picture taken. Why do we always have to say cheese when somebody takes our picture? What does cheese have to do with anything? I guess it might make sense if you were taking a picture of a piece of cheese. But why would anybody take a picture of cheese? And even if you were crazy enough to take pictures of cheese, why would you buy cheese out loud? The cheese can't hear you. Cheese doesn't have ears. Anyway, the guys and I had just finished lunch in the vomitorium, and we scraped off our plates. Our plan was to go out on the monkey bars during recess and play with our Stryker Smith action figures. Stryker Smith is a superhero from the future who fights crime. As I was taking Stryker out of my backpack, I noticed a flyer taped to a table. It said, "Become a Beaver Scout." We all got excited. It said there was going to be a meeting in the vomitorium on Friday night. I always wanted to be a Beaver Scout, said Neil, who we call the nude kid even though he wears clothes. Beaver Scouts are cool. My friend Billy, who lives around the corner, is a Beaver Scout. He gets to wear a uniform and win cool badges and stuff. Billy's always going on camping trips, and he told me Beaver Scouts get to do cool stuff like shoot bows and arrows, make rockets, and blow stuff up. I'm not sure Beaver Scouts really get to blow stuff up, but I do know that they get to make campfires. Burning stuff up is almost as cool as blowing stuff up. And the best part about being a Beaver Scout? No girls allowed. I'm joining up, I said. Me too, said Michael, who never ties his shoes. Me three, said Ryan, who will eat anything, even stuff that isn't food. But you'll never believe who walked by the table at that moment. It was two girls from our class, annoying Andrea and crybaby Emily. Shh, Ryan whispered as the girls approached. Don't tell Andrea and Emily we're going to be Beaver Scouts. They'll be jealous. I sat on the edge of the table so Andrea and Emily wouldn't see the Beaver Scout announcement. We all started whistling to let the girls know we weren't hiding something, because when you're whistling, you can't be hiding anything. "What you doing, Arlo?" asked Andrea, who calls me by my real name because she knows I don't like it. "Nothing," I said. "Hanging out. We're not hiding anything." Here's a picture to go with this part. Why are you sitting on the table?" Emily asked. "It's recess. We get to go outside." "None of your beeswax," I replied. "We're just playing with Stryker Smith." "Fine," Andrea said as she scraped her tray into the garbage can. "Have fun playing with your doll, Arlo." "It's not a doll," I shouted at her. "It's an action figure." "Call it what you want," Andrea said, rolling her eyes. "Come on, Emily, let's play in the playground." Well, that's chapter 1. Do you want to hear chapter 2? Okay, here's chapter 2. Chapter 2 is titled, Say Cheese.
Somebody wants to know if you're reading the whole book.
Okay. We had to wait 1,100,000 days for the Beaver Scout meeting. But it was okay because the flyer said we needed to wear the official Beaver Scout uniform. So my parents and I went to the official Beaver Scout website to buy an official Beaver Scout uniform. On the website, they sell all kinds of stuff Beaver Scouts need. Official Beaver Scout sleeping bags, official Beaver Scout tents, official Beaver Scout bug spray, and even official Beaver Scout toiletries. I didn't even know the toilets grew on trees. Finally, we found the page with the uniform. It's cool, with a Beaver Scout patch and stripes on the sleeves. It comes with a cap that has a bee on it and an official Beaver Scout neckerchief. A neckerchief is a lot like a handkerchief, except you wear it around your neck and you don't blow your nose into it. My parents and I ordered all that stuff. It cost them $1,000,000 plus shipping. I guess that means a ship delivers the stuff to your house. No wonder it cost so much. We were afraid the Beaver Scout uniform wouldn't arrive in time for the first meeting. But that morning, we got a package in the mail. The regular mailman brought it. There was no ship. I ran upstairs to try on my uniform. It looked cool. I came downstairs and made a grand entrance for my parents and my sister, Amy. "You look so handsome, AJ," my mom said. She was getting a little choked up as she took pictures of me in my Beaver Scout uniform. "What a dweeb," commented my sister. We drove to school. When I got out of the car, I saw Ryan, Michael, and Neil in their Beaver Scout uniforms. Ryan's mom is really emotional, and she was wiping tears from her eyes. "You boys are getting so big," she blubbered. "Look at my baby Ryan. It seems like only yesterday that you were in diapers." "You were wearing diapers yesterday?" I asked Ryan. "We need to take pictures," my mother said, pulling out her cell phone. "Yes," agreed all the parents. Ugh, parents love taking pictures. "Do we have to?" I asked. Oh, here's a picture of parents taking pictures. "Of course we have to," my mother said. "This is a milestone." With grown-ups, everything is a milestone. You could burp and my mother would act like you graduated from college. When grown-ups want to take pictures, there's no stopping them. "Say cheese," my mom ordered, pointing her phone at me. "Cheese," I grumbled. After that, she took a picture of my dad and me together. Then she took a picture of me and my sister. Then she took a picture of me and my dad and my sister. Then she took a picture of my dad and my sister. Then she asked my dad to take a picture of me and her. Then she asked me to take a picture of her and Dad. Then she asked me to take a picture of her and my sister. Then she asked Ryan's dad to take a picture of our whole family. I thought I was going to die of old age. When grown-ups take a picture, they have to get a shot of every possible combination of people. That's the first rule of being a grown-up. Finally, we finished the picture taking and went into the vomitorium. I wonder who your Beaver Scout leader will be, my dad asked. And you'll never believe who walked through the door at that moment. Nobody. You can't walk through a door. Doors are made out of wood. But you'll never believe who walked through the doorway. You probably think it was the Beaver Scout leader, but it wasn't. So na boo-boo on you. It was Andrea, Emily, and Alexia, and they were wearing Beaver Scout uniforms. Well, that's chapter 2. Should I go on? Should I do another chapter? Do you guys want it? Okay. I'll do another one. All right, one more. Chapter 3 is titled, It's a Tough World Out There. And it is, especially today. Eek! I screamed. Girls! Who let you in here? Girls can't be Beaver Scouts. They can too, Andrea replied. Cannot, I said. We went back and forth like that for a while. They changed the rules, Arlo, Andrea said. Boys and girls can be Beaver Scouts. This is the 21st century, you know. I knew perfectly well what century it was. What did that have to do with anything? I was going to say something mean to Andrea, but I didn't have the chance, because you'll never believe who poked her head into the door at that moment. Nobody. Poking your head into a door would hurt. I thought we went over that in chapter 2. But you'll never believe who poked her head into the doorway. Attention! A lady shouted. I had no idea what that meant, but everybody else did because they all stood up straight, the way soldiers do in the army. I'm Miss Blake, the lady barked. I'm your Beaver Scout leader. Miss Blake was wearing a Beaver Scout uniform like mine, but with a cooler shoulder patch. She looked mean. Hello, Miss Blake, my dad said, sticking out his hand to shake. We're so happy to... But my dad didn't have time to finish his sentence. All parents out of the room, barked Miss Blake. Can we just stand in the back and take a few pictures, my mom asked. No, barked Miss Blake. Parents, get out. The parents made a beeline for the door. That was weird because I've never seen bees get in a line. They usually just fly around every which way. Are we going to learn how to blow stuff up? I asked after all the parents were gone. No, barked Miss Blake. Line up for inspection, in size order. We all pringled up. That means they lined up like Pringles. I had to stand in front of Andrea, who is the tallest kid in our class. Emily is the shortest. She looked like she was going to cry, as usual. Miss Blake walked down the line, looking everybody over. Disgraceful, she barked at Emily. Stop whimpering like a jellyfish. Filthy, she barked at Michael. Tie your shoes. Disgusting, she barked at Neil. Comb your hair. Slovenly, she barked at Ryan. Trim your fingernails. A mess, she barked at Alexia. Neatness counts. Miss Blake was standing in front of me. She looked me up and down. I was shaking with fear. I thought I was going to die. She stuck her face about 2 inches from mine. I heard what you said when I came into the room, Buster, she barked at me. Do you have a problem with girls? No, sir, I said. Ma'am. I didn't know what to call her. You better not, Miss Blake barked in my face. Your mother was a girl once, you know. There's a picture here. Whoops. Your mother was a girl once, you know. Just once, I asked? I thought she was a girl all the time. Everybody giggled, even though I hadn't said anything funny. Are you trying to be smart, Buster? Miss Blake sneered at me. I wasn't sure how to answer that. Don't we go to school to be smart? Isn't being smart a good thing? Yes seemed to be the answer. But from the look on her face, she didn't want me to say I was trying to be smart. And if I said I wasn't trying to be smart, That would mean I was trying to be dumb. I didn't know what to say. "I got my eye on you, Buster," Miss Blake said. What did I do? And why was she calling me Buster? Miss Blake moved on to Andrea, looking her up and down. "Very nice," she said. "This girl is neat. Her hair is in place. Her fingernails are trimmed. Her posture is good. And she looks confident. I'm going to give you a sticker." The sticker said, "Best liner upper" on it. What? That's not fair. Nobody lines up better than me. Actually, I didn't care, because stickers are lame. Grown-ups always think they're doing us a big favor by giving us stickers. They're just pieces of paper with sticky stuff on the back. If you want to give me something, give me a video game. But Andrea acted like Miss Blake had just given her $1 million. "Thank you, Miss Blake," Andrea said. Then she smiled the smile that she smiles to let everybody know she got something nobody else got. Why can't a truck full of stickers fall on Andrea's head? Miss Blake wheeled around to face the group. "The rest of you are pathetic," she barked. "But I'll whip you kids into shape. By the time I'm done, you'll be spitting nails." That sounded kind of cool, actually. "Excuse me," said Alexia, raising her hand. "I thought we were going to sell cookies and do arts and crafts projects." "Cookies?" snorted Miss Blake. "Arts and crafts? That stuff is for wimps. It's a tough world out there, and the sooner you get tough, the better. Did I tell you about the time I was attacked by a bear?" We just met like a minute ago," I said quietly. "I was on a 50-mile hike," said Miss Blake, "and I suddenly noticed a bear was stalking me. He was getting closer and closer." "What did you do?" asked Andrea. "I punched his face in," barked Miss Blake. "That's what I did. It was a matter of survival." The thought of Miss Blake punching a bear was funny to me. I peeked at Ryan. He was peeking at me. He made a funny face, and I started giggling. I couldn't help it. Miss Blake wheeled around and glared at me. "You think this is funny, Buster?" she barked. "You think I'm joking? Well, since you like jokes so much, I'll tell you a joke. Why did the chicken cross the road?" To get to the other side?" "No," barked Miss Blake. "That brave chicken crossed the road to save his injured buddy who had just been run over by a train. It was lying there, dying. That chicken risked his life to save his friend. Never leave your buddy behind. That's my kind of joke." It didn't seem like a very funny joke to me. Miss Blake is a flake. Well, that's chapter 3. I'll tell you what. Why don't we continue this in our next Facebook Live? I'm going to be tied up tomorrow, but tell you what, if you guys like this, if this was fun for you, send me a comment, let me know, and we could do this again on Wednesday. What was that, huh?
You have a gajillion comments.
I have a gajillion comments. This was really fun, you guys, for me. I hope it was fun for you, too. And if everybody liked it, I'll do it again on Wednesday, and I'll continue with chapter 4 then. So that's called, whoops, wait a minute. That's called Whip Whap Willie. So anyway, this was really fun. Thanks for joining me, you all, from all over the country and all over the world if you happen to be in a different country. And thanks for reading my books. Thanks to all the grown-ups who shared them with their sons and daughters and students. And, I know a lot of us are cooped up for this period of time, and I hope this whole thing is going to pass before we know it, and we'll all be back to normal again. But until then, I had fun doing this, and I had fun talking to you, and I will talk to you again soon. So long.
Wasn't it fun to hear Dan read his own story? I loved it. So real quick, before we finish our program, I wanted to show you his website. During the summer, every weekday at 2 o'clock, he's reading a couple chapters from one of his books. So you can either listen to it live at 2 o'clock, or you can go to his website, and they're all listed there. So as we go through, I'm just going to go through the bar here and tell you what kind of things you can find on his website. So it's dangutman.com. It's easy to find. He has a section here about Dan. If you go click on that, your drop down gives you the information about Dan with the pictures, his little biography. There's questions kids always ask him. That was really fun. I learned a lot about him. Tips for young authors, if that's what you'd like to be. He gives you some tips. There are puzzles, which I think were largely quizzes about his books. So if you're a big fan, it's always fun to take a quiz and show yourself that you remembered all the answers. So that was a fun section to look at. There's Dan's books, and that's where I got the list of all his books. But there's more in there. And then if you go over to the next one, those are his read alouds, so you can go back and listen to a bunch of different books that he's been reading, a couple chapters a day. He does school visits. I know he visited the school district where my library is, and the kids loved it. And then there's some other stuff on this website. So whenever you have a favorite author, you should go and have your adult help you see if there's a website. Sometimes there are games, sometimes there are pictures. So lots of fun things to do. If it's not under the author's name, it might be under the publisher's name. And so there's usually some fun book-related activities there. And I hope you had a good time today learning about Dan Gutman. I want to say a big thank you to Dan Gutman. So thank you, Dan Gutman, for allowing us to put that video on our website for the summer reading program. And again, his website is dangutman.com. And our website is mcl.org. And I hope you will check out our other author studies, as well as many of the other programs and performers that we have on the website this summer. And I hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time. Bye.